Good afternoon, guys. It's Thursday, and we have a hurricane. So there might be some noise in the background. I've got my kids here, my niece, my mother's here watching my kids, so I can actually get this done without interruption. So that's a blessing. I'll give it just a minute or two just to give you guys some time to log on. There is a lot I have to talk about today. Oh, my baby. Hi, Drew. You're forever going to be one of my babies. You'll be 40 years old, you'll still be my baby. Is that my other? Hey, guys. How are you? So I'll start talking since we got people joining. Last week we talked about the first red flag in my book, and that first red flag is that they are hiding something harmful. And I mentioned at the end of the video that we would talk about some of the things that drug addicts like to hide. And I actually started looking up some extra things because I didn't want it to just be the things that I found. I wanted to also incorporate things that even females would hide if there were any differences, male items versus female. And surprisingly, there are. Hey, Mike, we're good. The boys are actually with my mom and my niece right now. So if you hear the screaming, bear with me. They'll be going down for a nap. This is usually their nap time. How are you guys? So the first thing that I wanted to let you guys know about is the drugs that I was a witness to. What one of my old partners, there was a laundry list, and more just kept revealing over time. I knew that this person initially that he smoked weed. And I didn't think much of it because I was like, not everyone and their mother, but just about everybody knows someone that does. And there's people that are high functioning with it. So I didn't really care too much. But it is a gateway drug. And I noticed that there was also issues that, the sniffing started becoming a big thing. The random bloody noses, throwing up. And then it's got me to start questioning, what's really going on. So in my book, I talk about the drugs that I was kind of hit in the face with. It was cocaine. There were prescription pills that were not prescribed to this person. And those pills, I talk more about them in the book. So some of the things that drug addicts like to hide, they will hide manufactured pipes or makeshift smoking devices. And I have seen, with the person that I'm talking about, ripping pages from books and using the paper to makeshift blunts. Inside, I've seen, I know a lot of people probably know about this one, but the Black and Milds, cleaning out the guts and filling it back up with weed. I've seen that plenty of times. Snorting tools, so straws, rolled up paper bills, or mirrors. I have personally found cut up straws inside of drawers, hidden deep in the corners. I found them on the side of the car. I found straws trying to be hidden, thrown out, and it usually would have white substance around it. So I knew that, he was trying to, or not trying to, that he was sniffing cocaine. I never found a mirror, but that is something that they like to use so that it's something that they can see how much product they actually have that they're about to use. Injection tools. This is for people that have, that they use heroin. I have not been, this isn't one that I was exposed to, but for those, if you're trying to figure it out, if somebody you love is using, you'll find needles, lighters, spoons, belt, or some kind of strap and potential injection kit. So this one I can't speak firsthand off of, but there are, I don't know, there's plenty of documentaries out there where you've seen someone who has a belt and you know, they have these different things, and they'll usually take a substance and they'll light the spoon on fire, not on fire, but they'll put the lighter to the bottom of the spoon to melt whatever product it is. Hey, Alejandro. You're such a northerner. There are also small plastic baggies. I have found numerous small baggies that had either white substance in it or small residue left behind after it was used. Larger bags, sandwich bags, something with a Ziploc on it just to kind of keep the contents inside. And that's just, those are just big signs that, yeah, they're definitely using something and they're trying to hide it. Some places that items can typically be found, and I've actually found before, hey, Rolly, they can hide things inside of vents and ducts. I've actually found the vents at the top before unscrewed, and I've noticed there was little bags on the side. So that could be a place that they like to hide things. And drug addicts are very, well, some of them, because not all of them are very smart, but some of them, they are very crafty and they're very sneaky about where they like to hide things. And a lot of the times it's because they don't want to stop using. So sock drawers, like I mentioned before, inside of shoes or shoe boxes, those were locations where I have found evidence before. Underneath the tables and drawers. So in one of the places I lived in, I had a coffee table that you were able to pull it up towards you, and then it had extra compartments to store. And inside of the corners, I would find baggies, or I'd find the Black and Mild wrappers. I would find so many different things there. So those are locations where you can definitely check. It can be inside of a desk. It can be inside of a kitchen corner. Just anywhere there's a drawer. In those deep corners, they do like to try and hide things. Video game consoles. So I'm not a big video game person. I didn't experience this myself, but I'm assuming, and from pictures I've looked at, that video games have a lot of compartments to them where people like to hide their drugs and stash it in there. So moms, dads, if you have young kids that are teenagers that you may assume or that you have some kind of thoughts that they're using, check the video games. In and under mattresses and box springs. I never actually found anything in my situation, but there are, what is this? Sorry. So sorry. I never actually found anything in there, like I said, but underneath mattresses in the box springs, sometimes they'll cut an area where they can place things in there if they feel like, okay, if you put the bed against a wall, maybe on the opposite side, just someplace where they think that you'll never look. The back of bookshelves, like I said, one of my ex-partner had taken pages from the book to makeshift blunts, and in the bookshelves, I would find it either in the corner or all the way at the top of the bookshelf where it's high and hidden and nobody can see anything from there. This one was an interesting one because I actually didn't have to deal with this, but cocaine was a drug that my loved one was using. And inside of pens, so this is a marker, a two-sided marker, but in pens, they'll take the cap off and they'll put cocaine inside the barrel. That way it's portable and they can kind of use it to do what they do. For females, lipstick containers. And this one actually hurt me because I love lipsticks, and I just feel like, how can you, like, why? But lipstick containers. And that's actually interesting because when you are using a lipstick, obviously the product goes down and there's more space in there to hide whatever drug it is you're trying to hide. Individually wrapped sanitary napkins. Now, this is if you suspect a female. And this one, hey baby, is very interesting because I never thought of this at all. I mean, obviously I don't use the drugs, but this is actually a sneaky trick. So the individually wrapped sanitary wipes, most people get it from Summer's Eve. Once you're done with the wipe, you can save the little package, and it's something you can put inside your purse, and no one would ever think to look in there, because why would you store drugs in something that is meant to clean you when you're on your cycle? So that's a place that you can definitely look. Candy or gum wrappers, belt buckles. I looked into this, and this is actually interesting. So belt buckles from brick and mortar shops, they carry specialized merchandise that actually allow you to store things inside the belt buckle. So if you have someone that, and I'm not trying to say all construction workers do this, drug abusers are in any and every profession, but belt buckles, if you notice that people are, a little, don't touch that belt, this is my belt. Yes, shoe soles. Yes, thank you. We talked about the shoes and shoe boxes. So shoe soles are definitely another one. Underneath toilet tanks wrapped in plastic. Now this is just, you're moving bricks if you're doing things like this, but that's definitely a place that you can look if you suspect somebody is using and hiding. That's the kids in the background. The bottom of drawer dresser frame. So this one is actually interesting because I didn't think anything of it and I never actually checked for it. But where you have the bottom of your dresser, most of the time you have like a little design where the hole is in that little section there, or underneath the drawers in there, especially if it's flat, you can tape things on top, tape things underneath to store some drugs there. Hey, Ashikai. Let's see. Behind pictures or posters. This blew my mind because I didn't have to deal with this one, but this is something, like I said, to mention before, teenagers, easily behind a poster or on the wall. I mean, that one would kind of be hard to, let's see, what'd you say? Clocks in the wall, picture frames in the living room. Just spill all the secrets. If there's anything that I haven't said, please join in and share. This is meant to really help people identify places where drug abusers like to hide their things. So I'm coming for you, Satan. I'm coming to just expose you, because this is a demon that you are just trying to keep in everybody's family, and we're breaking those strongholds. So ceiling tiles. So in schools, I'm sure you guys have seen the ceiling tiles where you can literally push it and shift them over. If you have a house or an apartment that's anything like that, definitely check those ceiling tiles if you notice that, hey, this one's got more wear and tear than all the other ones, that you can move them around and really figure out, okay, this is where they like to store these drugs. Items sitting on a desk or dresser that don't seem to move. So an example I was given was a soda can or a thermos. So if you have a desk and you notice that, hey, this desk is not really clean and this thermos is always here. It could just be that the person's not a clean person, but people that are drug abusers like to keep the same thing there. And if you actually try to touch something or go to a place where they stash it, they're gonna give themselves away, because they're not gonna want you to touch their thermos, they're not gonna want you to touch their mug or whatever item it is that's on the table that they're actually hiding things. And then the list for bottles. So kind of the same thing. Outside locations, in cars. That was a place where I was finding just about everything. Like there was a point in time where missing dishes, missing cups, I would just find them filled with liquor inside the car. I would open the door and it would reek of liquor. Let's see what it say. Underneath the chairs at the kitchen table. I'm looking everywhere in my home for potential. Yes, underneath the chairs. I mean, and you've got to be very bold to be putting it in an open area like that. But that is definitely a place. But outside cars, so the side handle, center console, any of the sunglass holders, or underneath the seats, in the back of some cars, some people will sometimes, where the seats connect, they will rip up a piece of the carpet and hide the drugs in there. So you definitely want to check inside of the cars, underneath floor mats or areas where you feel like they removed the carpet and they're storing the drugs there. Under the hood, but I don't know why underneath the hood, but hey, I've heard of stories where people hide things underneath the hood. Let's see, the dashboard. We said the center console, behind the visor. Sometimes people will have things clipped to the visor behind like an envelope or two to make it look like as if they have something to read when they stop, but there's actually drugs behind it. Ashtrays in older models. So this was something I was hesitant about because most people don't have a car model that has ashtrays in it, but it's definitely a place where you can store things if you have an older model. Nooks and crannies outside of your home. So if you have anything attached to the side of your house, or even the gutters, I mean, this is just me really thinking outside the box. A gutter, if you're taping something on the inside of it or behind it, a place where you feel like they feel like people are really not going to come looking. So this is a laundry list. And I know in my book, I talk about some of the things that I found, and like I mentioned already, what's this? Using an over-the-counter medicine bottle. You know what? Thank you, because that's definitely something that I dealt with before. So like I said before, the loved one in my life that was using drugs, cocaine was a big time one. He smoked weed, and he experimented a lot with pills, and a lot of the times it was, if he didn't have one, he would run to the other. Drinking was a big thing too. And I didn't write this down because I figured I would just talk to you guys about it. There was a time where I was cleaning up the house and I was looking for a specific, if it wasn't Fabuloso, it was some Ajax or something that was scented. And underneath the sink is typically where I kept a lot of our cleaning supplies. And it was a lot. So I was trying to sort through them, trying to find the one I needed. And I found a couple of bottles back there. So if you're dealing with an alcoholic, check around in areas like that, because that was something that I wasn't expecting to find, because I usually used, and he was trying to be smart about it, putting all the ones that I typically used up front and making sure that they were replenished so I would never look in the back. So definitely look past that. But with the over-the-counter bottles that Kylie mentioned here, that was something that I dealt with too. I used to take some supplements back in the day, and I did it for years, like in my early 20s and so on. And that was something that this person would take the stuff from out of there and put in, it was ecstasy. It was Xanax that was not prescribed to him. Anything that he can get his hands on, honestly. Yeah, you've got a lot to say today, girl. I am loving this. Come on every live that I have, because this is really helpful. And I really hope that those that are watching are taking note to this too, because these are definitely things that can help. Let's see, because I was taking them in jail in the past. Several women wore drugs in their ponytail behind the hair tie. See, this is good because I didn't know that, and I wouldn't think about that. My experience is going to be a little more biased because I'm a female and I was dealing with a male. So I didn't have a lot. I don't know much about what the females did that were trying to hide it. So that's a great one. I kind of got a ponytail going right now, but it's more so an oxtail because my hair is really short. But anyway, medicine cabinet that I had no idea what it was. That's a good one. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. That's scary. But yeah, so this live, I just wanted to make sure that I touched base on the things that they can hide. I explained last week that, girl, we're not going to talk about your ex because I'm not a fan of him. But the red flag that we talked about was them hiding something harmful. And in my case, he was hiding a gun, which later on showed that he was hiding something much bigger. So I hope that this helped you guys. If there's anything else that you guys may be thinking of, that there's a place that I didn't mention, that I should mention, my story is heavily based on the cocaine use, the drinking, and the pills addiction. I know there are other drugs that people are addicted to, and I'm sure that some of you guys in a way can relate, or you know someone. So this is our Thursday talk to just talk about places where they like to hide. Hey, Glennie, you coming in towards the end, girl, but that's okay. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention because some of these, when I was reading them, they shook me because I was like, I didn't think to look there when, I was dating. I am so sorry about that. Clearly, Satan is mad because we are exposing these people and their hiding places. It's interesting. That'll be another talk that we'll talk about how Satan, when you're trying to, break certain things, that things just start coming and make, things harder for you. But anyway, but yeah, so again, guys, I'm speaking from my experience, but a lot of the things that I listed were some things that I've never had to deal with, but it is good to check. So all those little places where they tend to frequent and that they get a little jumpy when you're around, check the area. So if there's anything else you guys have to say, I'm here. Girl, I should have had you here. In the thermostat, they pop out and stash it. I would have never thought. Maybe I should just give you 5 more minutes to just say anything else, or because, wow, Kylie, you've got a lot of knowledge on this. Man, this is intense. So thank you, because you've given me some places where now I'm thinking like, did I bypass this red flag? But that's very interesting. The thermostat, man. They just get creative. Check their toes to look for intravenous dots for heroin. Okay, that's a good one. And then another one, obviously, in between their toes. Thank you. Also for heroin addicts, I mean, they obviously need a vein. So you'll find, I guess, bruises around their arms. If you see constant, I heard a lot in school. Okay. Check the veins. Wow. Girl, I feel like I'm in school right now. I'm trying to help you guys and you're helping me. So I appreciate it. But yeah, so I would definitely, if you are tuning into this for the first time and you're not really sure what all I'm talking about, I'm going to encourage you to go back to my first live that talks about the first red flag that I mentioned in my book, and then come back and watch this one again, because we are talking about the red flags of drug abuse in a loved one's life, and we're talking about the places that they like to hide their drugs. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and joining me. Thank you, Kylie, for sharing everything. This is another one. Thank you. When their veins blow and go to the ER and have a nurse give them saline, and everything, they run out of the hospital with the fresh vein. Girl, with the needle in it. That's really intense. I'm not laughing at that, but just how you've got a lot of insight, and I really appreciate you sharing this. So if for those of you that are going to watch this later, the last comment, if a person blows their vein, they go to the ER. If they're that much of an addict, they will run out of the hospital with a fresh needle put in there. So that's pretty scary. But again, guys, thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope you learned something, and if there's any questions that you have outside of who I'm talking about, please list your questions. You can DM me, we can have a discussion. This is something, like I said, that God has asked me to share to help bring awareness to drug abuse and addiction so that we can break the cycle. I love you too, Kylie, and I love everybody else that joined. I appreciate you. And I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe. I mean, I know the hurricane is not as big as the last one, but just stay safe, and hopefully you're not in a place where it's flooded. So God bless you guys. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Love you.